Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F123 Driver Career Mode. Hope you're all having a great day. The summer break is over in the final 8 races. The final half of the season is set to get underway today, going into the Silverstone British Grand Prix, where one of the home teams, Williams Racing, is coming in with an announcement regarding the future of their team.
Williams Racing announces this week that they have agreed to partner with Lamborghini starting next year. This multi-year deal is an agreement that leaves the team confident that they can return to being a threat in Formula One.
You heard the news there. Williams is going to be partnering with Lamborghini moving into Season 6 of this F123 Driver Career Mode. A very exciting time for that team that's been continuing to struggle. Of course, they got Zhou Guanyu as well as Jake Hughes in their lineup for the last season and a half. But we'll see, how this partnership works out going forward for this team. And nonetheless, it's an exciting, time for them as they need a little bit of a boost, I would say. And as well, we just had the news last episode with McLaren going to be partnering with Toyota. So we got another new brand in Lamborghini coming into the sport for next season. There is still rumors of a third potential new brand, but it's very, on the cards of potentially not happening. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. P6 and P10 for Red Bull Racing Forward here in practice. That takes us now through into Saturday afternoon. A bit of an overcast condition here above us now as we get ready for qualifying. Silverstone never historically been a good track for qualifying for me. Silverstone, in reality, never really been statistically a great track for me in general either. So I was expecting P10 in qualifying, to be honest, and in the Grand Prix, I don't think we're going to have a chance to win today, especially with how the season has gone, but we cruised through into Q number 2. There you can see Dragovic in P4, but the drivers out Lawson, Sainz in the BMW, Zhou, Hughes, and Armstrong at the bottom of the grid here in the Alfa Romeo Haas. We roll through into Q2, and a similar situation. We'll just be cruising through into Q3. You can see the two Connor Sports 11th and 12th as have a bit of a moment, but we crossed the line. Go P10. Esteban Ocon actually qualifies both Connor Sports, but out nonetheless with Gasly at the bottom there in 15th, Tsunoda in 14th, Jack Doohan in his third weekend here in Formula One, trying to continue to impress everybody now as we roll through into Q3, and my attempt in Q3 was, basically the same as everything, the first couple of sessions, just not enough. P10, we were going for a second lap, just trying to find a bit more pace in the car, and we would find a little bit more pace here, as you can see, but it wasn't very much. It wasn't really enough to make a genuine difference here. Now, as we go through the sweeping right-hander, and we find a little bit of time on exit, even after a bit of a slip and slide, really sending it through Cobson, that would cost us. We would invalidate our time, so we will start P10, about a tenth and a half, just about behind 9th place of Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, and Mercedes front row with George Russell Albon down in 3rd. Can he get to the front? We'll have to wait and see. We're going to head to the grid in the Silverstone Grand Prix.
Welcome to not only the home of British motorsport, but also the birthplace of the Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, a classic on the calendar, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. Straddling the border of Northamptonshire and Buckinghamshire, the 18 corners of Silverstone Circuit form the 3.6-mile beating heart of Formula One. It's been reinvented over the years, with Turn 1 now the fast right-hander of Abbey, but the magic of racing is as strong here as it's ever been. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And starting next to them is George Russell. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Verstappen, Hamilton, Jackson, Oscar Piastri, Drugovic, Golden Boy, Ocon, Mayer, Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Sainz, Zhou, Hughes, Leclerc, Armstrong, Doohan, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And with me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Summer break is over. We're ready to roll. Mediums to hards here from the British Grand Prix Silverstone circuit. Now starting up a little bit further from P10 due to Charles Leclerc taking a grid penalty. We'll start P9 instead. We're ready to roll.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
Only 3 drivers on softs, myself, Lawson, as well as Leclerc.
So as all the cars reform the grid, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
All right, mate, hope the summer break was good. Now it's back to business.
Yes, sir. I'm ready to get after it today, guys. Let's have a good one. We're ready to roll here from Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Season 5, the 5th edition of this race on the calendar here in our driver career mode. And like I said, statistically, it hasn't always been the greatest racetrack for me. So we'll see how today goes after starting P9 on the grid. The last car of Marcus Armstrong rolling up to the back of the grid is going to be 5. Red lights to Mercedes front row. Look how could they get their first win in what feels like forever today. We're racing here from Silverstone. It's a poor start from Jackson. Drunkovich there gets to the left side, gets in front of me and through, goes not towards Russell. Lando Norris stays in front. Russell side by side right there with Alex Albon. Now he wants to keep him at bay, but he's not going to be successful. Albon's going to slip through already into the second position there, and just following them is the duo of the Ferraris of Hamilton as well as Max Verstappen now. But if you're Lando Norris, you do not like what you see in your rear view mirrors. That is the Alex Albon McLaren moving forward, and now here's Aiden Jackson sneaking up my inside. I was able to get past him through turn 1, but he's fighting back and he's going to go around the outside through the carousel. There he goes into 8th place. We drop back down to P9. Ocon P10, Tsunoda in 11th in his BMW machine as we head down through comps here. Now this opening lap going to be very difficult to maintain as we already take a warning for exceeding track limits there on that strict corner cutting, of course, but as well keep in mind we're on mediums, one of only 3 drivers on mediums, so it's going to take a little bit, as usual, for this car to be able to kick in. So it's all about just maintaining, trying to stick with these guys here. And we do see quite a bit of battles often at this circuit in Silverstone that really opens the door for us to get involved. As you can see up ahead, that was Oscar Piastri for the Trackhouse team with a bit of a lockup going into the final couple of corners, and that allowed us to close right up as we started lap number 3. And on lap 3, as we're going through the S's section here, you can see Jackson and Drunkovich really going at it right here. And I'm going to close in on this battle now as well. Hold on, here we go. It's going to be a big run on both of these guys. Now Jackson doesn't really have anywhere to go. Drunkovich covers the right side of the track. Now we're going to try and go around the outside of our Brazilian teammate. Wheel to wheel, nearly contact right there, but we might get a 2-for-1 special. We continue side by side. In the meantime, Alex Albon, he's taking the lead of this Grand Prix. We'll get a replay of that in just a moment. We continue wheel to wheel, and Drunkovich backs out. We move through into 7th place here on the British Grand Prix, but this is how Lando Norris sacrifices the lead to Alex Albon. Albon he's going to go around the outside there, nearly contact between those two, and then he gets the job done as Norris continues to hold on to second. Russell did have a lunge at him right here in the final couple of corners, but wasn't quite enough. However, it wasn't quite over. A lap later, through the DRS zone, Russell now is actually able to pass Lando Norris, so he moves up into second, Norris down to third, and then at the moment of that happening, here I am, getting engulfed 3 wide in the middle right there. We back out of it now as Jackson and Drunkovich, a bit of contact right there. Is Jackson going to send it up the inside? No, he's going to stay put behind. So I was able to get past them both, but I couldn't drive away from them. So they were able to stick right with me, right back in through to the DRS zone, and they were able to, of course, pounce on that opportunity and get back past as we start the 5th lap of this Grand Prix. But now we come a little bit later, DRS zone again, lap 5. You can see Jackson now breezes past our Red Bull Ford teammate there. So Red Bull Ford really not showcasing the pace I think we wanted to have today again, as it's going to be near impossible to win the World Drivers' Championship this season. I've accepted that, and it's all because of the start of our season just not going the way we needed it to, obviously. Now, it's not been a good season for us. We've got the one win as we nearly make contact again with Drugovich going for the overtake around the outside. P8 on the cards here. Now we're going to send it down into the corner. This time we are able to clear Jackson there. And now we can try and focus in on the cars in front. Jackson starting to move his way forward. Albon, you can see on the track map, he's driving away. Not really much contest for him right now. Alex Albon is currently on another level, and McLaren is definitely going to win this World Drivers' Championship with Albon at this rate easily. The Constructors is going to be a bit more difficult, though, because Jackson's been dropping the ball a little bit, while Mercedes has been continuing to find consistency with Russell and Norris now running up there actively in the top two podium positions behind Albon usually. So Jackson definitely needs to step it up if he's going to deliver a second consecutive Constructors' Championship for the McLaren team, because he's pretty well written out of the Drivers' Championship. I'd say everybody's written out of it at this point, because Alex Albon, like I said, his pace is just unreachable right now for anybody. It's crazy. In qualifying, McLaren doesn't quite seem to have the pace right now, but in the race pace, their car is superior over everybody. Pit stops kicking off here now. We're going to be sticking to the usual medium compound tire strategy. Recently, I've been kind of coming in a little bit earlier, and it just doesn't really seem to translate to anything. We saw it last episode, so we're gonna go back to our old kind of hand that we throw at these strategies and see if we can bring a little bit more pace later in the Grand Prix. Everybody comes into the pits now in front of us, so we're gonna be taking the lead of this Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc as well on the mediums. He's gonna stay out with me, and we both are gonna come in at the end of this lap right here. Lap 13 coming in down to 37 miles per hour. A really slow pit lane and a really long pit lane in Silverstone. Come in, we'll get on that hard compound tire here as we switch off those mediums and just hope that we're within a decent length of the cars ahead, because as we come out, you can see, yeah, we're going to be quite a ways behind, but look at that big group of cars right there. There's two different groups of cars. You got the front half of the field, you got the back half of the field, which is led by the Connor Sport machines right now, but we're basically, yeah, we're about 4 seconds behind our teammate of Drugovich once these tires get warmed up. So yeah, some work to do, but let's see if going back to the roots of our normal strategy can really pay off. And the answer immediately was no, but our tires not warmed up yet, so we're waiting to see. It was about 4.7 seconds. That's the damage done. We've got a lot of ground to gain, and the answer is, fortunately, we were starting to gain that time. Pierre Gasly, actually, with a mechanical failure for the Alpine in the first sector. That will be day over for the Frenchman now as he continues to struggle with this Alpine team, and so does Esteban Ocon. They continuously, probably, I'm sure, actively looking for ways out of this team by now. But we were quickly closing the gap now, down to 2.5 seconds by the time we come through to lap 16. Let's see if we can continue to close it as we go through the grid.
Business as usual today for Alex Albon as he chases his 7th win of the season.
And still no wins for his teammate of Aiden Jackson. He's in his 3rd year in F1, but his 2nd season with McLaren. And we're seeing a bit of a sophomore slump for the young lad as he is putting together a good day today, however, up to 3rd and chasing Russell for 2nd.
Norris down to 5th after leading early in the game. Verstappen, Piastri, Drugovich and Owen all chasing behind as Leclerc rounds out the top 10.
You have the 2 Connor Sport cars in 11th and 12th again today. The new upgrades are paying off for them.
And a shout out to Williams, a rough day in 16th and 17th. But they announced a new partner in Lamborghini this week, which will hopefully give them a bit of new life next year.
We want to see Williams succeed again. Let's hope for that.
And you have through the grid there, and you as well have myself continuously closing in on now the back of Drugovich, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri as well. They're wheel to wheel, a little bit of contact right there. Red Bull and, not Ferrari, but Red Bull and Verstappen haven't quite been getting along, but we had been putting pressure on Drugovich. Lap 18 up the inside. Now we're going to have to go around the outside here, trying to get the power down, get that grip, of course, to just kind of hook up, and it does exactly that, wheel to wheel, with our teammate of Drugovich here still side by side here now as we have the DRS. We'll breeze past our teammate now into P8, Drugovich down to 9th, Leclerc 8.5 seconds back in P10. Next up is Max Verstappen. We would run him down over the course of the next lap, and now we are going to have the DRS as well to go and attack the driver that punted us into the barrier in Monaco, of course, just a few rounds ago. We're still not happy about the fact that he didn't receive a race ban. Wheel to wheel, and Verstappen opens up the apex, runs into the wheel of us there. Contact between myself and the Dutchman. I'm going to give it right back to him, run him wide myself, and we move through into P7. He's playing a very dangerous game after Monaco. You hear the radio. We pass Piastri as well with DRS into P6. Zhou Guanyu with a mechanical failure. Same spot that Pierre Gasly had one as well. So his day comes to an end as we continue to march our way forward now. Less than 5 seconds to 5th place. This strategy definitely was the way to go. The problem is, however, the pace in the first half of the run wasn't enough. And that seems to be really costing us recently when the races are going well, is our first run pace isn't quite there. And it used to be there. On the mediums, we would often start on a harder compound than other drivers, and the pace was there on the start. Right now, it's not, and we definitely need to work on that going in through the rest of the season and figure this out, because we're not going to win a championship this season, but, you know, if we can't figure it out, we're not going to win a championship next season. So, yeah, that's something that needs to be sorted. We come straight through to the final lap. It was a very quiet Grand Prix here today in Silverstone. Not a lot happened outside of the announcement from Williams and, you know, the moment there with Max Verstappen, a bit of contact, but that was really it. It was Alex Albon who's coming through to win this Grand Prix. This is going to be win number 7 on the season for Albon. It's been absolute dominance. He wins again in Silverstone. As that was happening, however, actually, this is a moment right here. Dragovic actually locks up in front of Verstappen, gives up the position in the closing moments. We're going to come through the final couple of corners. P6, we continue to close the gap down to 3.5 seconds, just not enough time, but still, P6, yeah, we definitely have some work to do going into these next episodes still, but on the bright side, that's 2 Grand Prix in a row where things did not go wrong. Aiden Jackson, driver of the day, he managed to get up to 2nd place by the end.
Plenty of action here at Silverstone, a memorable race and an impressive victory. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Not an easy Grand Prix for us here today in Silverstone, but the fortunate side of things is these last 2 Grand Prix where things went right really gave us an indicator of where we need to focus our efforts for the rest of the season, like I just mentioned a few moments ago, and it's all in the first part of the race. We need to really focus in on mastering our craft there, especially, I mean, qualifying as well needs a little bit more work. Maybe I need to do a bit more with the setups there. And then, of course, like I said, just that run from lap 1 to that first pit stop. You know, from pit stop 1, you know, when we switch over to the second compound, we are usually really good. We're one of the fastest cars on track just about every race. But that first run is where all the work needs to be done right now. And I think, you know, this episode and the last episode proved that. And it's good that we had that, so we can focus in on that. Albon, 72 points ahead of Russell, 74 ahead of Aiden Jackson. He is running away. It's going to need to be a catastrophe for anybody to run him down at this point now, as McLaren is 112 points out front in front of Mercedes. And we are still P3 in the Constructors. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.